I'm Kathleen Cator and I am a clinical psychologist and an ecotherapist. I teach mindfulness meditation and self-compassion, and I love being in nature. I grew up on a farm, so I've always appreciated being outdoors and having wildlife and animals around me. So I love the fact we are in Byron Bay on Budjalung country, on the nation. People are starting to understand that mindfulness meditation is helpful for the anxious, depressed, stressed mind. And they ask, how can I do that? And one of my suggestions is just spend time with children. You'll immediately be with them and in the present moment. And then you can get in contact or in connection with that inner child of yours. Children just don't have a concept of time. They get lost in time. And if all of us have noticed when you're absorbed in something, time just passes and we're not constantly looking, checking and thinking ahead. And I was talking to a grandmother the other day and we were talking about what happens when you try and take your children away from the playground, and saying 5 more minutes doesn't work. And her strategy is 3 more swings. And I was just thinking about that. You know, it's not in time that we measure our activities and our experience. It's just being in that experience.
My name's Sophie Morgan-Smith. I'm 25 years old and live in the Northern Rivers. I'm very, very grateful to live here. Horses, I've always been around horses since I was about 5, and horses have always grounded me. When I was working down on the south coast at a riding school down there, I helped start the Riding for Disabled program down there, and it was just absolutely amazing. I'd cry every time, but with happy tears because the horses and the kids working together, it was just amazing seeing what they would do. And even with myself and my mental health as well, there's been times where I haven't been able to do a lot of things, but then when I've come around the horses, it's been lifted off and it's such a great release for me. I suffer from complex post-traumatic stress disorder, and I also suffer from anxiety and depression. I lost my mum about 3.5 years ago, so I have been on my own grief journey as well. And it's been hard, but with having the animals there for support, it just helped me so much. Just to have that connection with the horse as well and have that friendship. I was a vet nurse for 8 years and because I love animals and I want to help them. After my mum had passed, I couldn't work in the vet hospital at that moment just because my mental health wasn't that great. So then I went back to my horse riding job in the south coast, and I would just go out and be with the horses for like 10 hours a day. And being out there in the fresh air and just being with their presence was just amazing. I'm grounded and I'm full of love, and I'm full of love for them and for myself, really loving myself again, which is amazing. So I'm just really happy that I got myself back into the profession and back into being able to ride and spend time and to be able to share these incredible animals, because they do so much. They really do. They've changed my life. I wouldn't be the person I am without them.
My name's Spencer White and I'm a beekeeper in Lennox Head, New South Wales. For me, it's about uniting our local communities with bees and then with local food systems, so we are more connected to the essence of our food and more connected to the medicinal properties that nature can offer us. Then it's also about bees mirroring us and showing us how to best live in harmony with the land. I'm just so certain that these things come to our world with the intention of love when it's nature. There's nothing I trust more for my health and my healing other than nature. There's nothing that surpasses a natural method or like a pure substance from nature. They, to me, are the greatest healers. I have to think local. That's how I start. So I think, how can I pollinate my backyard first? That's the first step that I can take, is pollinate the closest proximity to my home. And once I've done that, I can then start to pollinate my local community, the Byron Bay Shire, the Ballina Shire, so my impact still remains strong. Like it's a strong positive impact, and it's localised to my food systems, to my community. I feel like I can see the impact that that action is making, rather than trying to change the world on a global scale or like change systems from top down. The systems can be changed from bottom up. For me, it's like that's the start point of the land that I live on. I think it's about 70% of all the foods that we eat are actually pollinated by bees. So they're such a significant contributor to our food systems. And without them, you know, our diet would look very different. Whether we would be able to sustain a civilization would be up for debate. All the medicinal properties, all the medicines, all the foods that we put into our bodies are what heals me and helps me to improve my vitality.
Sometimes we can go in our imagination and start developing a sense of safety by being in our bodies and imagining a safe place, which is not actually a real place. And then we can start experimenting by going outdoors. In the intimate details, it's in the moment, it's really paying deep attention, being appreciative, having gratitude. That's when we can feel the most connected to ourselves and the natural world around us. I'd like to quote Rumi, and he says, "Our task is not to seek love, it's to remove the barriers to love." And I think many of our barriers arise from our busy, worried, stressed minds. And coming back to ourselves, we experience ourselves in a natural state of grace and love.
Go explore and go to places you've never ever been before and check it out, because you'll never know until you go. I know that when I go out to my horse at the paddock, that time doesn't mean anything to me. I go out there and I don't even look at the clock. It's endless.
The circle's the natural ecosystem that we are a part of as animals, and it nourishes us and we nourish it. So it's about this harmony and this balance of living in accordance with nature that I find so healing.
And it's the way in which we pay attention closely with appreciation.